So as I was getting ready for this presentation today, we're also on the birthday of ILC, which is so exciting, the traditions, the roots, and all that we have here. And I wasn't around when they named the committee Faith and Wisdom. So it was for me to ponder why those two particular words, faith and wisdom, for this committee, that we seem to often be the catch for things education. And so I was looking, and the Bible mentions wisdom approximately 218 times. Thank you for technology that finds that for us. Faith is mentioned approximately 270 times. Wisdom appears more often in the Old Testament and faith more in the New Testament. I would imagine most Christian followers would agree that both are critical to following Jesus well, faith and wisdom. Many of us live somewhere in the middle of the spectrum where faith and wisdom probably meet. Many of us are seeking to find appropriate middle ground, where we seek to use our wisdom but leave room for faith and reliance upon God. Wisdom says, I will buckle my children into the car seats when we leave our home, and faith tells us, I will trust God to keep us safe or to walk through the trial with us if anything is to happen. We all have to choose where we land on the spectrum, and we be wise to leave room for grace when others select a balance different from our own. So our committee is often asking for grace. If there was a word I'd add to faith and wisdom, it would be grace. So as we lean into volunteering at ILC, especially as we've been navigating this post-COVID time, what does this journey look like at ILC? And so we want to talk about today an ILC faith journey. And you're going to come to learn what faith and wisdom does in the terms of thinking about what does a faith journey look like at ILC. Right now I've drawn it in a straight line from birth to never stopping, the eternity. But I'm sure for many of us, our lives do not move in this straight, perfect faith line. But that's just for today. For our speaker, we're going to talk about that. And so I'm actually going to ask you to engage in the discussion about the faith journey, and we're going to spend some time talking about who might be leading different parts of the faith journey here at ILC, and really would like to interact and engage. And so we have, if everyone will take a couple Post-it notes, and then there's pens, or you want to do pens. And what we'd like for you to take a few minutes, if you would, and write something of significance in your life on your faith journey. For some, they may not remember their baptism. For others, it might be a time in their childhood or a time even in your adult life. It's something that was significant to your faith journey. And just write down a few notes. Remember, this is public, so you don't have to reach too deep into spilling all of your secrets, but just something that you recognize is really important in your faith journey. If you'll take a few minutes and just write a few notes on the Post-it notes, anything that you'd be willing to share, we'd appreciate it.
There's more Post-it notes if you have more than 3 thoughts. I can help you out.
It's early.
I feel like 3
So something of significance in your faith, your own faith journey. So maybe from your childhood, something that you resonate that helped draw you to this church or another church, something that you felt really helped you signify your place as a Christian, a Lutheran, something that just kind of been part of that faith journey that you have. Each of us have our own. If you're sitting here today, you're some part of a faith journey. Yeah, baptism. Can I start with that one? Oh, love it. And will you share your name? Sharon. And does everybody know Sharon? All right, Sharon, thank you for starting. So baptism often starts at birth. It doesn't for everyone. But I'm going to put it here at birth because that's often a faith journey where most that happens at baptism. I know for our family, all 4 of us were baptized in May 2019. So we all were baptized with Pastor Lee, and it was an important step in our faith journey. Does anyone else share that baptism was an important part of their faith journey? Like Sharon? Yeah, absolutely.
I want to share. I was baptized a second time.
Okay.
As an adult. long-time Lutheran, but I was baptized by immersion when I was in my 20s. It was a big part of coming back on my faith journey.
Love that. Thank you. So adult baptism. So who takes care of the baptism at ILC? We're lucky that it's not the faith and wisdom. That's the pastors do the baptisms. But it certainly involves the families and probably the deacons, but that's the role of the pastors.
I think as like a longtime Lutheran also, I was able to be baptized, married, or confirmed and married in the same church that I grew up in, which was really special. And that won't be the same for my kids because we've moved around as adults, and then they tag along with us. But I think it's really fun to be able, so I guess I'll add on this confirmation. My children will both, Trey and Elle, Trey's in confirmation right now. My daughter Elle is in 5th grade and she will be a part of the ILC confirmation program eventually. So I think it's really fun to watch their journey start here with confirmation.
Perfect. And does anybody know who's in charge of confirmation at ILC? Pastor. Woo, thank goodness we have those pastors. With some support from other committees as well, and the parents and Keith, but really important part of that, especially middle school and the young adults. We're just talking about ILC Faith Journey, and if you'd like to share a significant part of a journey you've had along the way, I'm going to ask those who've had a minute. Julie, Janet, Chris, anything? What's yours?
You're a public speaker.
Joining ILC. Yeah, so that's a really important part of your journey is the church that you join in that community. So we really appreciate all that are here today and our community as we try. A big part of what we do at ILC is helping to bring community together and engage that community. And we'll talk about a lot of those activities we do. Pastor Leah,
I do have a few. Imagine that.
come on up.
Okay, get comfortable, everybody.
I love it.
So I have Bible study as a place of faith incubation.
Love it.
That's kind of where my pastoral role was given birth. And then the other side of it, I have the joy of walking with others. So I have the joy of doing faith education and or confirmation and or ways where we're having profound conversations.
Love it.
So, and then this is my personal one, conviction and conversion in music. So that's where a lot of my
music.
journeys
Yeah,
happen.
that is great. So music is such an important part of ILC that it's not just one committee that does music. There's various committees that are part of music. As a matter of fact, our committee does the Christmas program, which is where an important member, Sarah, is also part of our committee, and Sarah is leading. Today was their first day to start the Christmas program. So I will put up here, Faith and Wisdom, one thing we do is the Christmas program, and especially, do you know what ages do the Christmas program? Preschool through
6.
There you go. Yeah, so the Christmas program is part of what ILC does. And so we appreciate Sarah's taking that on today and wasn't able to be here because she's with the youth doing the Christmas program. Do you have one? Welcome and learning community. I love community. We'll put it here with joining ILC and part of that community. Would you like to say anything more about it?
Just that we're relatively new here, but we found it a very open and welcoming place to worship.
Well, we're glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. So we definitely do activities that we, Faith and Wisdom looks to joining and welcoming the community. Does anyone have an idea of an activity that Faith and Wisdom does that brings community together? How about our favorite with the Easter Bunny? So we do, one of the big things that we help take on is Easter, the Easter breakfast. So Pastor Leah does all the important parts of Easter, but we help feed people.
I don't know.
So-
I think many people would argue that is an important part.
So the faith and wisdom, that's what we're talking about today. What does the faith and wisdom do? But we wanted to do it in the context of all of our committees and groups work so, all of it is an important part of being the ILC community. And so there's just certain things that we've been able to take on, like Easter breakfast, that we really feel brings community together, and that's a big part of what we want to do in our committee is the community engagement here at ILC, that time for families and gathering. And then we also do a lot of other youth. Does anybody have an experience from their youth that really stuck with them as thinking part of that significant? Janet?
I was raised Lutheran in a church very much like this church, and I have a lot of childhood memories of participating in the church.
That's
And,
great.
You know, we played our instruments in front of the church. We lit the candles.
Yeah,
It was
that's
nice.
fantastic. What do we call our services here at ILC when we let the youth have at it? Jolt. Yeah, the Jolt Sunday. So a lot of times our youth are part of that Jolt Sunday. Faith and Wisdom often helps, but a big part of that is Sunday school. And we are so excited to have Creighton now as part of our Sunday school, as our Sunday school coordinator. And the Faith and Wisdom is part of helping bring Creighton on and help make sure our Sunday school has resources and tools, and a big part of that, we know for a really big part of Faith Journey is that consistency of our youth having Sunday school available to them. So Sunday school is a part of what we help deliver, and
How about just youth group and activities?
love it. So Faith and Wisdom intersects a lot with Keith and that faith group. So that is definitely a important part of when they're a youth. Put that over here. Yeah, that is such an important, the youth group. Such an important part of what we do for our youth is that youth group and getting together. We also help with the youth group. Did any of you go on mission trips when you were younger? So some people, mission trips are a really important part of that. And so we also help with mission trips, assist Keith and others as they're considering missions and what they're looking at.
Youth gatherings and youth trips?
Yeah, so important part of that. Addie?
I think we have a member of our committee who is here today, Summer Sheldon, who is really articulate about how she uses the phrase onboarding, how you get on your on-ramp to being a part of ILC if you weren't raised a Lutheran. And we've talked about that at a lot of our committee meetings. And so I would say onboarding later. I said finding ILC and learning Lutheran. And I think a big part of that Faith and Wisdom help with that is through our VBS program. Because you can get many different types of folks from the community, not only congregation members, using VBS as their first introduction to ILC.
Yes, we love Summer being part of our committee. She brings a lot of great perspective and really helps our committee in a lot of different things that we do. And VBS, how many of you remember going to VBS as kids? Yeah, it's so much fun. The Big Nation Bible School with our students. I was raised up near the Chapel in the Hills by Silver Falls, and they had a band, Homer and Josie Rice. Any of you know them from here in town? And Homer would come pick us up for VBS, and I think the ride started with my faith journey when getting in that van of Homer driving the back roads and getting to church. But really enjoy when we get a chance to VBS, and it's so connected with the music and connecting our students and that onboarding.
Well, I think the role models that like the older kids make, the confirmation kids who stand up and shepherd the preschool through fifth grade kids. I still remember that as like when I was a little kid, looking up to these leaders and be like, that's cool. Like they're at church, they're leading. I can do that someday. It makes you want to continue to be a part of it.
That was really demonstrated last Sunday.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was so brave of those students to get up and speak.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
super brave.
Yeah, they did amazing. Does anyone have other things they wanted to share?
When you mentioned mission, it wasn't necessarily as a youth, but I went with Lutheran World Relief to India, to Nicaragua,
Wow.
to Haiti.
Yeah.
And those were really life-changing experiences.
That is amazing. I feel like that is a whole another opportunity sometime to talk about. Lutheran World Relief. So whether we go on trips, which sound such an amazing thing, or even here, sometimes our students even raise money to get a chicken, right, to send to those in need. I think that talking about giving and what we do in our community is so important. Very important part of my faith journey. Thank you for bringing that up. Does have others that want to also contribute, or whether you want to share your post-it or some part of a faith journey that's come to mind as we've been talking?
For me, I think it was the new members ceremony, or I don't know how to call it. But coming from a Roman Catholic church, we didn't have a sense of belonging. So coming here and being recognized as members, it was like forming our new identity.
Love that, Laura. Thank you. So our new members ceremony, we really appreciate our pastors and council, those that help bring that heart of ILC, such an important part of membership in that community that you mentioned earlier. So we always appreciate, and I love seeing that too, and the sponsors and people coming together. Thanks for bringing that.
It's nice to see how this church supports Growing Hope International,
Yeah.
too. I think that's a really good mission, too.
Love
So,
that.
Growing Hope International.
Should probably put something on this board. It wasn't as stable. As we see evident of the, right outside the door.
Right, right.
That's great. Yeah, it's such an important part. And I know the whole community gives to that, to Growing Hope. And I love seeing, especially if those bidding wars start on some fun things out there.
I really enjoy the soup and supper that we have in the spring. Really enjoy that. And I think something that really stood out was one time Pastor Leah had people from different faiths come in and talk. And I remember when she first talked about that, I felt a little creepy about that.
Mm-hmm.
But when they came in and talked, it just enhanced my relationship. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I feel that too. So it was, just opening my eyes to how other people feel, but it was very similar in my own faith. So
Thank you.
I really enjoyed that.
We have, thanks for bringing that up, not only the soup and supper, but how much this space is open to our community, bigger community of Silverton, and all the work that happens here. Audrey, any idea how many hours that kitchen is used by so many thanks to Audrey and the kitchen crew for, I don't know if I really ever come in that kitchen isn't being used to help serve so many needs.
Yeah.
So it is, for some, cooking and giving and bringing people together is that such an important part of that big journey. So thanks for bringing that up. Other things that so a really specific one that hasn't come up yet, but we do here, and that the Faith and Wisdom Committee does, is in 3rd grade, we give Bibles. So we call it the 3rd grade Bibles. And we're really love that opportunity to connect with our students in 3rd grade. The last few years has been 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, kind of just catching up after COVID. Really, it's any youth that we want to make sure they have opportunity to have a Bible of their own. And it's been a tradition that people write from the congregation, write in the Bibles, highlight their passages, send notes to the students. So that's something that our committee takes on, is the 3rd grade Bibles.
I bought one of those Bibles, and I'm a member of a men's group. And a guy came up to me and was admiring the Bible, and he said he was baptized here.
Oh, wow.
And he's in his 30s now or something like that.
That's great, I love
So,
that.
yeah, it opened a conversation.
Yeah, that's great. I'm just gonna keep encouraging if the other things have come to mind.
One of the things that happened when I made a church change years ago was that they immediately immersed you in small groups. And you were just assigned a small group. It would meet midweek, they were evenings. Back in the days when Wednesdays was a church thing and you didn't have other activities on Wednesdays. So, and that really, because the church was extremely large, that was a way to have community and get acquainted with people and have fellowship that often you kind of got lost. A much bigger church than that.
I love that. So there has been a tradition of small groups. Some people have continued. Others have we've started to have conversations again about what that might look like and how we might want to move forward. So thanks for bringing that up, Audrey. I know that's really important for a lot of community. Neil, thanks for joining us. Anything that you have come to mind? Not to put you on the spot, but I'm reaching back here to my crowd there in the back.
We're back here for a reason.
I know, but I'm a teacher at heart. Get to the kids back there. Even though it says
You
sneak
didn't
in
see me raise my hand.
We're behaving.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about or asking about the meals in the kitchen. And was it a year ago, or Audrey, that Nancy totaled up? It was like over a 3-month span up until Thanksgiving or something like that.
How many meals?
3,000
Meals.
I don't remember, because the crew, or the people that are in there regularly on Tuesday and Wednesday, Let's Dine in Silverton, or Dine in Silverton. I was talking to the guy there the other day when I was working on dishwasher. They do 50 to 60 meals at least a day when they're in there. And that adds up over time, and then you figure all the other banquets and community groups that use it. And it does.
The ASAP program.
The ASAP program, outside groups, sometimes the school had an auction there, and a fundraiser, and it creates a lot of work for people here at Immanuel, but I think that's what Immanuel should do. I mean, we should make our facilities available to people, because we're really fortunate to have a building like this, and it should be part of the community.
Absolutely.
We should be good neighbors.
I think sharing meals is such a Lutheran thing too. You know, when I grew up, like we had Wednesday soup suppers at my church. The kids for confirmation today, they'll have an icebreaker and then they'll share a meal and then they'll go into their lessons. It just is something I feel like we get to see no matter what Lutheran church you're at, and I love that.
I love that too. I know it does feel like every committee we're like, okay, what meal are we helping make or make sure people are fed? And I think not only the cookie church, we like our potlucks and our meals together. So that takes all the committees. I'll just do a shout out. Thank you for the trustees that help the building keep running, and you'll hear more from them next week. So a little commercial for you guys for come learn more about what it takes to keep this place going that's providing all these amazing spaces. For Faith and Wisdom, we're trying to help show how we're integrated. Not any committee can run on their own, and so it really is an opportunity. We work at a council and work together and bringing people together. And so one of the fun things that we used to do more of, and this is also part of this conversation today, is not only the things that we're doing now, but what are things we'd like to bring back or things that we think about. And so one of the things our committee has started talking about is the camping out in the summer. And it's kind of two things. One, for our youth. So it used to be we'd have an opportunity for our youth to go to a camp in the summer. And so we've started to engage conversation with groups like Lutheran. Or would you want to talk a little bit about Lutheran, just because your family went? Could you share what that was kind of look like and why we think it might be a good next step?
Well, I might be wrong in what I think. Lutheran is a Lutheran camp, the name itself says it. It's part of the Morgan incident. Is that, yeah, okay. It's a great space for camping. All the facilities are, we have cabins and they're in great shape. We have bathrooms, shared bathrooms that are, I think it burned a few years ago, so they're basically new. They have activities, they have like rock climbing, arch and arrow, I don't know how to call that. I mean, lots of great activities for kids and youth and adults. And they are open to do more programs for a church or whoever needs to do a camp. And yeah, I think it will be a great opportunity for LC.
Where is it located?
Near Eugene, going
Down,
And you know where Cheshire is?
down there?
West of Cheshire. No, it's actually 25 miles west of Junction City.
I know where that is, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Yeah, so we are investigating what it might look like for not only youth, but maybe families, opportunities for families to go down for a chance together, or even for adults that may want to be there. So we're exploring those options, and that opportunity, again, just engaging our youth in some fun opportunities, but also to more opportunity to talk in their faith and be with those others from this community together.
Another one is Holden Village.
Oh, okay, tell me more about that.
Haven't been there for a few years, but
Okay.
it's a beautiful setting up in the North Cascades.
Oh, okay.
And it used to be a mining camp, but a
Oh,
kind of
wow.
an elegant mining camp. And so the, what was West Priest? Priest, his last name was.
Oh, okay.
Years, probably about 50 years ago now, was there at the time when they were unloading, whoever the company was, this facility, and he said, yeah, well, we'll take it on.
Yeah.
And so the Lutheran Church has been developing it ever after for a retreat center.
Oh, wow.
And so they have several buildings.
Yeah.
They have dormitory type or rooms for families. I remember ours was all in one room, and it's really nice. And there's quilts on the beds and stuff like that. And they also have what they call I'd say a modified vegetarian diet, so it's a little different. I think they have meat maybe once a week, and it's a little bit different. For families and for parents, it's a real release because there are no cars there. They bring everybody up. You have to take a boat up to the landing, and then a bus comes down and picks everybody up and all their gear and drives you up to the
8 miles up into the mountains.
and so you're up there, and besides that vehicle there, and I think they may have some, I don't know, a couple other things, but there's no cars. No cars. And the kids can go out and do a lot of their own thing. There's programs for different age groups.
Yeah.
There's also for the adults, usually there's a theme for each week or 2 weeks, something like that, depending on the keynote speakers that are showing up. So there's that. Plus there's, what do they call them at night? There's the
Vespers or something?
Vespers, yeah, and that's optional too. There's a lot of give and take. And you can go off and do hikes all the way up to these lakes that are fairly close by. Or you can go further on up and the glacial lake again. I remember my little daughter she's now 37, but we were walking up and we were hiking up and we were gonna spend the night, and so we were all on our way, and she said, why are we doing this? She's getting kind of tired. Why are we doing this? So I had to come up with something.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's,
Sometimes
It's a-
people
it's a
ask that in
really-
their faith journey too, right? Why are we doing this?
yeah.
And that's always important for the community to remind us why. Keep hiking, keep coming, keep being a part of it.
Well,
Thank you for sharing.
Holden Village tries to keep the cost very reasonable too, and they often will have a flat rate for families, no matter how many members there are.
That's
So
great.
it's usually pretty reasonable for a week to go up there.
They're on the internet. You can, put
Yeah.
in Holden Village, HOLDEN.
Leavenworth is a good point of reference, Leavenworth, Washington. Is
Oh,
kind
okay.
of where, I mean, I have a cousin who is a Lutheran pastor, and so he's spent a lot of time at Holden, but if anybody wants to visualize where it is, like, it's idyllic, because it looks like the Swiss Alps in Washington State.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So it also makes me think, we haven't brought up yet, but women's retreat, I think that's a really important part. And while Faith and Wisdom doesn't have direct, many of our community members and people have really been a part of that, an important part of the community here at ILC. I know there's also the adult education, so like what we're doing today, and this is a really important part, and Faith and Wisdom helps Pastor Leah, and it's really a whole committee often, the council talks about that adult education, and Faith and Wisdom helps be a part of that as we can and is needed. So I love thinking about adult education and their journey as much as the youth. Anyone else want to contribute more? So Chris also says one important part of his faith journey was raising children. How many of you started to pray a little more when kids came along, right? So that is certainly, I think, for a lot of us, helps us also center to not only prayers, but think about how you want to raise your own kids and how you want them. And that just connects with so many things, those times in your life that are significant of making you go back to your faith and not only raising children, but losing children, losing parents, losing loved ones. Those significant times in life often are also the time that you need to lean in most to your faith, and that's what this community here is for, is to help you in those times where we celebrate and also in times of tragedy and heartache. And so those are always kind of come along too, I think, in the faith journey.
You got a spectrum here with birth onward.
Yeah.
So funerals are part of the faith journey too.
Yeah. Yeah. And God bless our pastors for the amazing work they do for honoring at that time. And this is just a part of it, right? This doesn't stop there. So, such an important part, especially with our Saints roll call last week. It's such a moving time. And I think it's amazing when we put the baptisms with those that we've lost on the saint calls, because it really helps remind you of this full cycle and the continual cycle. So, as we mentioned when this started, although we have the continual line, all our faith journeys look more like a zigzag path that have gone all over. So this is just, I can barely draw a straight line, so maybe the zigzag would have been easier, but just thinking about all the things that have touched us along our journeys, and if we have kids here, there's many points that we're trying to help make sure they have opportunity for faith and talking about faith in their journeys. I'd invite if anyone has, as we kind of close up, but any last ones, Neil?
What is it about you and your family and that causes you or leads you to do all the work that you do, the counsel and faith and wisdom?
Yeah, I love that question.
What helps you get there, I guess?
That's a great question. I'll also ask my faith and wisdom members to join me in that as well. I know for our family, I was raised that if you're part of community, you not only receive from them, but you very much give back to the community that you're in. And I have grown up here in the Silverton community and think of ways to give back, but being part of the ILC has helped us so much in our faith that it only made sense to also give back. And not that every season of life is a perfect time to give back. When our kids were younger, we were in survival mode. So we have welcomed this next season where we actually have brought our kids with us as we volunteer, and for them to see how to give back to community in all the different ways. And even if it's in there cracking eggs the day before Easter, 5 cases worth, you show them in that way, and it just brings so much joy for us to be part of this community, and so we want to give back to that. And I'm going to talk more today about everyone has all their own talents and whatever that might be. And I have leaned into my talent. I don't mind talking in front of groups or helping to lead when we're going to try and figure out how to feed a couple hundred people, which we never knew we had that gift until you lean in and try it. So thank you for that question, and I encourage each of you to think about the gifts you bring and what you can give back to ILC, and I'll ask my committee members if they'd like to share in that question too.
Yeah, I think for me, I echo everything Julie said, like having my children be raised in the same faith that I was able to, and I think it's a really unique opportunity, especially I'm from a town that had like 1,200 people, so like I looked at the same faces for 18 years. I think being from a bigger, have my kids be a part of the ILC community and meet maybe kids that, you know, go to Victor Point that they wouldn't normally get to see at the middle school. So just that other level of engagement that they get to be a part of and that I get to be a part of. So what drives me to be a part of this committee and to keep, you know, throwing my hat in the ring year after year is people like Julie and Laura and Summer and Wendy Howgett, everybody that I've gotten to work with. Just a powerful, and it seems like we're open to men being on our committee, but it seems like it's often women. Being a part of something that's bigger than yourself with really dedicated people who want to do good. It's fun to see things get accomplished. It's fun to watch, put on Rally Sunday and know that, you know, my ideas made this happen and that we as a team put this shindig on. Being with, I don't want to say powerful, but being with a bunch of doing women is really inspiring, and I'll keep coming back for that.
Thank you. Laura?
Yeah, well, for me, a few years back, for me, I used to think that my contribution to church was just giving my husband away, like. And when I was asked to join Faith and Wisdom, I actually thought it was Immanuel, he made it happen, and I even told him that, but he made it, like, easy enough. I mean, being in Faith and Wisdom has been, I mean, we get to kind of build a path for our children, and that's something that I really appreciate. Manuel was sharing with me yesterday a little bit of history about Immanuel, and I mean, it's so great to be able to be part of history, and being in this committee has allowed that, like, do something to build new ways to be a community and for worship.
Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. I admire all of our volunteers, and especially we often have our young committee members that are with us. And they do help remind us why we're here and what we're doing, and that we're helping them as they start their faith journeys, and then hoping to bring all of our congregation together and nurturing that community. So we did have a few more things that popped up. The service projects, Faith and Wisdom helps with Rally Sunday. So that's what happened in September when the blessing of the backpacks and the services out in the community, and just such a great part of our opportunity when we get to go out and serve our community. But also Sunday school, usually our younger students have some things that they get to do here. And then inevitably they all get drawn to this room where the beading is set up. So, and the knitting and that opportunity for them to try new things. And then we have projects that come up at the Martin Luther King. So we'll also do service projects and live graciously during that season.
All the way in the back.
Okay, I love it.
This just made me think that some of the most significant, I think, experiences that I've had in my faith journey. I'll be quick. And with reference to like service projects, I think developing more opportunities to interact with folks not in a service capacity. So I know like in a different church we were in that was in like a bigger city, we had like in a Saturday night service, and we would just, like everybody that wasn't comfortable coming in on Sunday morning would come to that. And it was just an opportunity to not serve them, but to commune and be with them, which is a different type of relationship, you know. So I think about like that experience and how important that is for like us as adults and our kids as well, to have that opportunity to like not, I think there's always like a higher, lower kind of rank when you're doing service, and to have that go away, to just be like, we are brothers and sisters. Those types of experiences with folks that are have more struggles in their life, don't go have a nice home to go to, you know, that those types of situations is like so significant for all ages. And so I think just like in that kind of situation, also like in, you know, we went to Haiti a couple of times and we were working with Haitians on construction projects, and like, you know, just that kind of relationship is super important to build, which is I think distinct from like the service projects.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's beautiful. Really appreciate the thought about that. Sometimes we get really thinking about all the other things that sometimes remember just opportunity for community to be together without a really driven purpose. Thank you.
I know it's like a little thing, but sometimes the church will like pass out little mementos and stuff. So we have the clothespin that has Detroit on it. I still have that from when the kids went to Detroit. And then when Pastor Leah did on her long hike, she had like an arrow, so we put that on the Christmas tree every year. So sometimes little mementos like that.
Oh, I love it.
Cool.
That reminders of faith.
That's right.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. Anything that people would like to share? I brought a list. Addie, do you think we got all of our main? We made a list to try and remember all the things that we do throughout the year.
And it happened kind of organically, that was nice.
The other thing we do with Easter is we also have a week before Palm Sunday. So we try and do that with also other churches to bring the other churches together. My favorite story from that last year is when we found the donkey, and the other church was willing to have the donkey come in their church gym, and it was like photographed, and then but Pastor Leah was the donkey stays at our church doors. So sometimes, as much as the faith and wisdom is part of it, the pastor always has that last word, and in that case it was the donkey doesn't come in with wise words. So we all really appreciate on Faith and Wisdom the opportunity to work with all of our different council members and all of you as a congregation, and appreciate this time this morning to talk about what we all do and what we bring. And so I just wanted to close and encourage each of you to think about what those gifts are that you bring and how you can be of service to ILC. And part of that service is just continuing to be a member that actively participates in coming, just like you are this morning, and being a part of what we do. In 1 Corinthians 12, Paul is comparing the individuals in the body of Christ to different parts of the body. Even though each part serves a different purpose and has a different function, all are important in the whole and are needed for the body to function properly. It is the same with our talents and various leaders, committees, and congregation members at ILC. They're all different, but each one serves a purpose. Dear Heavenly Father, every believer has received grace gifts. Please help us use them to serve one another as faithful stewards of the many-colored tapestry of your grace. Amen. So thank you for coming today. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being willing to engage in conversation and put yourself up here as part of the faith journey. And we really hope if you have other ideas or things come to mind or ways that we can be of service to you, please don't hesitate to reach out. we'd love to hear from you. So thanks again.
Thank you.